Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh and you are watching our history. Today we are going over the Battle of Blood River, which was Andries Pretorius versus Dingane. The Battle of Blood River on the 16th of December 1838 was fought on the bank of the Ncome River in what is today KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, between 464 Voortrekkers or pioneers led by Andries Pretorius and an estimated 10,000 to 15,000 Zulu. Estimations of casualties amounted to over 3,000 of King Dingane's soldiers dead, including 2 Zulu princes competing with Prince Mpande for the Zulu throne. 3 Voortrekker commando members were lightly wounded, including Pretorius. The year 1838 was the most difficult period for the Voortrekkers. From when they left the Cape Colony till the end of the Great Trek, they faced many difficulties and much bloodshed before they found freedom and a safe homeland in their Republic of Natalia. It was only achieved after defeating the Zulu kingdom at the Battle of Blood River, which took place on Sunday the 16th of December 1838. This battle would not have taken place if the Zulu king had honored the agreement that he made with the Voortrekkers to live together peacefully. The Zulu king knew that they outnumbered the Voortrekkers and decided to overthrow them, and that led to the Battle of Blood River. In January 1840, Prince Mpande finally defeated King Dingane in the Battle of Matkonke and was subsequently crowned as new king of Zululand by his alliance partner Andries Pretorius. After these 2 battles, Dingane's prime minister and commander in the Battle of Blood River, General Ndlela, was strangled to death by Dingane for high treason. General Ndlela had been the personal protector of Prince Mpande, who after the battles of Blood River and Nkonke became king and founder of the Zulu. The background. The trekkers, called Voortrekkers after 1880, had come to defend themselves after the betrayal murder of chief trekker leader Piet Retief and his entire entourage, and 10 days later the Vienna Blaukrans massacre, where not a soul was spared. Dingane had agreed that if Retief could recover approximately 700 head of cattle stolen from the Zulus by the Tlokwa, he would let them have land upon which they could establish farms. On the 6th of February 1838, 2 days after the signing of a negotiated land settlement deal between Retief and Dingane at Umgungundlovu, written by Jan Gerritse Baantjies, who lived from 1817 to 1887, which included trekker access to Port Natal, which the British also had interest in. Dingane invited Retief and his party into his royal residence for a beer-drinking farewell. The accompanying request for the surrender of trekker muskets at the entrance was taken as normal protocol when appearing before the king. While the trekkers were being entertained by Dingane's dancing warriors and soldiers, Dingane suddenly accused the visiting party of witchcraft and ordered his men, Bulalani, Abatakati, kill the sorcerers. Dingane's soldiers bludgeoned Retief's party to death immediately after the Mgungundlovu massacre. Dingane sent out his impis or regiments to attack several trekker encampments at night time, killing an estimated 500 men, women, children and servants, most notably at Blaukrans. Help arrived from the farmers in the Cape Colony, and the trekkers in Natal subsequently requested the pro-independence Andries Pretorius to leave the Cape Colony in order to defend the Voortrekkers who had settled in Natal. After the Battle of Blood River, the Dingane-Retief Treaty, written by Jan Gerritse Baantjies, was found on Retief's bodily remains, providing a driving force for an overt alliance against Dingane between Prince Mpande and Pretorius. The prelude. War strategies of the generals. On the 26th of November 1838, Andries Pretorius, who lived from 1798 to 1853, was appointed as commander of 64 wagons and 464 heavily armed Boer combatants, directed against Dingane at Mgungundlovu, with Jan Gerritse Baantjies as his war secretary. By December 1838, Prince Mpande and 17,000 followers had already fled from Dingane, who was seeking to assassinate Mpande. In support of Prince Mpande as Dingane's replacement, Pretorius' strategy was to target target Dingane only to allow Prince Mpande to oust King Dingane through military might. Pretorius had first to weaken Dingane's personal military power base at Mgungundlovu. Dingane's royal residence at Mgungundlovu was naturally protected against attack by hilly and rocky terrain all around, as well as an access route via Italeni passing through a narrow gorge called a defile. Earlier on the 9th of April 1838, a tracker horse commando without wagons, thereafter called the Flight Commando, had unsuccessfully attempted to penetrate the Mgungundlovu defense at nearby Italeni Valley, resulting in the loss of several tracker lives. Tracker leader Hendrik Potgieter had abandoned all hope of engaging Dingane in Mgungundlovu after losing the Battle of Italeni, and subsequently had migrated with his group out of Natal. To approach Mgungundlovu via the Italeni defile, the ox wagons would force the wagons into an open column instead of an enclosed laager, as successfully employed defensively at Vachleer on the 12th of August 1838. The military commander during Dingane's attack on Vachleer was Ndlela Kasompisi. The highly experienced General Ndlela had served under Shaka and was also Prime Minister and Chief Advisor under Dingane. Ndlela, with his 10,000 troops, had retreated from Vachleer after 3 days and nights of fruitless attempts to penetrate the enclosed tracker wagon laager. General Ndlela personally protected Prince Mpande from Dingane's repeated assassination plans. King Dingane's desire to have his half-brother Mpande, the only prince with children, eliminated as a threat to the throne. Prince Mpande was married to Msugi Lete, a daughter of General Ndlela. General Ndlela, like Pretorius, the promoter of Mpande, was responsible for Dingane's Mgungundlovu defense during the tracker's second attempt under Pretorius in December 1838. Given General Ndlela's previous defense and attack experience at Italeni and Vachleer during April 1838 and August 1838 respectively, Ndlela's tactical options were limited. Proven Mgungundlovu defense tactics were to attack tracker commandos in the rocky and hilly terrain on the narrowing access route at Italeni, thereby neutralizing the advantages mounted riflemen had over spear-carrying foot soldiers. Ndlela had to let Pretorius come close to Mgungundlovu at Italeni and lure the trackers into attack. Ndlela was not to attack the trackers when they were in a defensive wagon laager position, especially not during the day. The problem for Pretorius was that he had somehow to find a way to make Dingane's soldiers attack him in a defensive laager position at a place of his choice far away from Mgungundlovu and Italeni. On the 6th of December 1838, 10 days before the Battle of Blood River, Pretorius and his commander, including Alexander Bigger as translator, had a meeting with friendly Zulu chiefs at Dance Kraal, so named for the Zulu dancing that took place at the Zulu kraal that the tracker commander visited. With the intelligence received at Dance Kraal, Pretorius became confident enough to propose a vow to God which demanded the celebration by the commando and their posterity of the coming victory over Dingane. The covenant included that a church would be built in honor of God should the commando be successful and reach Mgungundlovu alive in order to diminish the power of Dingane. Building a church in tracker immigrant context was a symbol for establishing a settled state. After the meeting with friendly Zulu chiefs at Dance Kraal, Pretorius let the commando relax and do their washing for a few days at Wasbank till 9th of December 1838. From Wasbank, they slowly and daily moved closer to the site of the Battle of Blood River, practicing laager defense tactics every evening for a week long. Then, by halting his advance towards Mgungundlovu on the 15th of December 1838, 40 kilometers before reaching the defile at Italeni, Pretorius had eliminated the Italeni terrain trap. Location and preparation. On Saturday the 15th of December 1838, after the tracker wagons crossed the Buffalo River 10 kilometers southwest of the actual battle site and still 80 kilometers or 50 miles from their target Mgungundlovu, an advanced scouting party including Pretorius got news of a large Zulu force in rugged terrain to the east trying to lure the Boers into a trap, as had been the case in April the same year, with fatal consequences. While Cilliers wanted to ride out and attack, Pretorius declined the opportunity to engage Dingane's soldiers away from their base, as had been the trap at Italeni Valley. Instead, Pretorius decided on a fortified laager on the terrain of his own choosing in the hope that General Ndlela would attack Pretorius on his terms rather than the other way around. As the site for the defensive laager, Pretorius chose a defensible position close to a vertical 8-meter descent into a deep hippo pool in the Ncome River, providing excellent protection on two sides. The wide open area in the front of the laager provided absolutely no cover for the attacking force. The battle was set with the laager protected on two flanks. As usual, the ox wagons were drawn into the typical protective enclosure or laager. Movable wooden barriers and ladders, which would be quickly opened for cavalry, were fastened between the wagon wheels to prevent intruders, with two smoothbore, short-barrel artillery pieces positioned at the corners. Andries Pretorius had brought a 6-pound naval cannonade with him from the Cape, mounted on a gun carriage improvised from a wagon axle and named Griki. The other ordnance piece was unknown in the original, but the reproduction depicts a 4-pound smoothbore cannon, by then obsolete in most European armies, but were used to fire devastating grape shot. As evening approached, a thick mist settled over the wagon site, above which the sky was clear. According to Afrikaner traditions, the Zulu were afraid to attack at night due to the superstitions and the eerie glow of lamps which the Boers hung on some balks or whipstocks around the laager. Whether or not there is any truth in this, historian S.P. Mackenzie has speculated that the Zulu held back until what they perceived was the necessary numbers had arrived. Some of the Zulus only arrived near sunrise by following the tracks of the wagons, due to some recent heavy rains of the Ncome River was swollen, making crossing the river difficult. During the night of the 15th of December, 6 Zulu regiment, estimated 20,000 or more Zulu soldiers, led by Dambuza Nzobo, crossed the Ncome River and started massing around the encampment, while the elite forces of Senior General Ndlela did not cross the river, thereby splitting the army in two. The battle. On the 16th of December, dawn broke on a clear day, revealing that all of Zululand sat there, according to one tracker eyewitness. General Ndlela and his crack troops, the black and white shields, remained on the other side of the river, observing Dambuza's men at the laager from a safe position across the hippo pool, according to the South African Department of Arts and Culture. In ceremonies that lasted about 3 days, Izinyanga Zempi, specialist war doctors, prepared izinteleze, medicines which made warriors invincible in the face of their opponents. This could partly help explain why Dambuza's forces were sitting on the ground close to the wagon laager when the trackers first saw them. Dambuza's regiments repeatedly stormed the laager but could not break through. The attackers were hindered by a change introduced through Shaka's rule that replaced most of the longer throwing spears with short stabbing spears. In close combat, the stabbing spear provided obvious advantages over its longer cousin. A Zulu eyewitness said that their first charge was mown down like grass by the Boer muskets. As Baantjies wrote in his journal, Sunday, December 16 was like being newly born for us. The sky was clear, the weather fine and bright. We hardly saw the twilight of the break of day or the guards, who were still at their posts and could just make out distant Zulus approaching. All the patrols were called back into the laager by firing alarm signals from the cannons. The enemy came forward at full speed, and suddenly they had encircled the area around the laager. As it got lighter, we could see them approaching over their predecessors, who had already been shot back. Their rapid approach, though terrifying to witness due to their great numbers, was an impressive sight. The Zulus came in regiments, each captain with his men behind, as the patrols had seen them coming the day before, until they had surrounded us. I could not count them. I was told that a captive Zulu gave the number at 36 regiments, each regiment calculated to be 900 to 1,000 men strong. The battle now began, and the cannons unleashed from each gate, such that the battle was fierce and noisy. Even the discharging of small firearms from our marksmen on all sides was like thunder. After more than 2 hours of fierce battle, the commander-in-chief gave orders that the gates be opened and mounted men sent to fight the enemy in fast attacks. As the enemy near constantly stormed the laager time and again, he feared the ammunition would soon run out. With the power of their firearms and with their ox wagons in a laager formation and some effective tactics, the Boers fought off the Zulu. Buckshot was used to maximize casualties. Mackenzie claims that 200 indigenous servants looked after the horses and cattle and helped load muskets, but not definite proof or witness of servants helping to reload is available. Writing in the popular Afrikaans magazine Die Huisgenoot, by a Dr. D.J. Kotze said that this group consisted of 59 non-white helpers and followers instead of the commonly stated 200. After 2 hours and 4 waves of attack, the intermittent lulls providing crucial reloading and resting opportunities for the trackers, Pretorius ordered a group of horsemen to leave the encampment and engage the Zulu in order to induce the disintegration of their formations. The Zulu withstood the charge for some time, but rapid losses led them to scatter. The trackers pursued their fleeing enemies and hunted them down for 3 hours. Celia noted later that we left the Kafirs lying in the ground, as thick almost as pumpkins upon the field that has borne a plentiful crop. Bankis recorded that about 3,000 dead Zulu had been counted and 3 trackers were wounded. During the chase, Pretorius was wounded in his left hand by an assegai or Zulu spear. Of the 3,000 dead Zulu soldiers, 2 were princes, leaving Ndlela's favorite, Prince Mpande, as frontrunner in the subsequent battle for the Zulu crown. 4 days after the Battle of Blood River, the tracker commander arrived at King Dingane's great kraal Umgungundlovu near present-day Eshowe, only to find it deserted and in ashes. The bones of Retief and his men were found and buried, where a memorial stands today. Up to this day, 16th of December is a public holiday in South Africa. Before 1994, it was known as the Day of the Vow, the Day of the Covenant, and Dingane's Day. But today, it is the Day of Reconciliation. The aftermath. The conflict between Dingane and the trackers continued for 1 more year after the Battle of Blood River. The idea of a decisive victory may have been planted in Pretorius' mind by a Zulu prisoner who said that most of Dingane's warriors had either been killed or fled. The same prisoner led some of the tracker party into a trap at the Waitemfolozi River 11 days after the battle at Ncome River. This time, the Zulu were victorious. Only when Dingane's brother Mpande openly joined the tracker side with his sizable army was Dingane finally defeated on January 1840. Following the Battle of Nkonkwe in January 1840, the forces of Mpande did not wait for Pretorius' cavalry to arrive, and they attacked the remaining regiments of Dingane, who were again under the command of General Ndlela. Ndlela strayed from normal fighting tactics against Mpande, sending in his regiments to fight one at a time instead of together in an ox-horn formation. Dingane had to flee Natal completely, but before he did so, he had Ndlela slowly strangled by cowhide for high treason, on the grounds that he had fought for Mpande, with the same disastrous result for Dingane as at Ncome Blood River. Dambusa, Dingane's other general, had already been executed by Mpande when he fell into their hands before the battle. Pretorius approved and attended the crowning of Zulu King Mpande in Pietermaritzburg. They agreed on the Tugela River as the border between Zululand and the Republic of Natalia. The legacy. Popular Afrikaner interpretations of the Battle of Blood River, bolstered by sympathetic historians such as George Thiel, played a central role in the fostering of Afrikaner nationalism. They believe that the battle demonstrated God's intervention and hence their divine right to exist as an independent people. This is stated in the official guidebook of the Voortrekkers monument, unveiled during the centenary celebrations of the Great Trek on the 16th of December 1949. That Afrikaners were a nation of heroes exemplifies the conclusions drawn from such events. From the day of the vow, Afrikaners consider the site and the commemoration of the day as sacred. Historian S.P. Mackenzie doubts the reported number of Zulu deaths. He compares Zulu casualties at Ncome to battles at Italeni, Isildwana, and Rorke's Drift. Mackenzie acknowledges that the casualty count was not impossible. Yet, in a similar victory on the 15th of October 1836 by trekkers under Hendrik Potgieter, some 9,000 Matabele, the latter suffered only 350 casualties. In 1879, 600 British soldiers with breech-loading rifles caused 2,000 Zulu casualties, perhaps 1,000 killed, over 3 hours before being overrun. Ncome Blood River Monument. A church called the Church of the Vow was built in the Natal town of Pietermaritzburg in 1841, where Pretorius settled on a farm Valverdiend. English is well earned, a gift from the trackers. A monument was erected on the site of the battle in 1947, consisting of an ox wagon executed in granite by the sculptor Koert Steinberg. In 1971, a laager of 64 wagons cast in bronze by Unifront Foundry in Edenvale, Fanie de Klerk and Jack Cowlard, was erected and unveiled on the 16th of December 1972. The Ncome monument on the east side of the river commemorates the fallen Zulu warriors, while the Blood River Memorial is associated with Afrikaner nationalism. The Ncome monument was intended as a symbol of reconciliation, but has become connected to Zulu nationalism. At 16th December 1998, inauguration of the most recent version of the monument, the Zulu politician and then Minister of Home Affairs Mangosuthu Buthelezi apologized to the Afrikaner nation for the death of Piet Retief and the subsequent suffering. At the same time, Buthelezi was noted for the suffering of the Zulus during apartheid. He stressed that South Africans needed to consider the day as a new covenant which binds us to the shared commitment of the building of a new country. Today, two complexes mark the battle site: the Ncome Monument and Museum Complex east of the Ncome River, and the Blood River Monument and Museum Complex to the west. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and please be friendly with that subscribe button and the bell notification icon, and YouTube will let you know as soon as a new video is released. Stay safe and stay strong.